be in northern Wisconsin and Minnesota. Hey, Isabella, thank you. Look, I think all of us know we win this election, we elect Kamala Harris, Madam President here. But with people like Isabella, our future is bright. Thank you for the work that you do. Mayor Payne, it's always good to be back. Thank you to all of our local elected officials that are here. I'd also like to say we've got a lot of work to do in 52 days, but we're pretty lucky. We've got some incredible folks to elect up here in this part of the country. Two of them we're blessed with. Two of the best United States senators you can find, with Tammy Baldwin and Amy Klobuchar. And there's a lot of races, but one I'm pretty familiar with, a congressional race over in Minnesota. I have the privilege of being friends with one of the most effective legislators I've ever worked with. Jen Schultz is running. One of those deals where you get an incredibly accomplished public servant who's in it for the right reasons, and we make sure we give Kamala Harris a majority in the House of Representatives. And I'll just give you two reasons why the current occupant shouldn't be there. Denying the election of 2020 should disqualify you from service. When those 4,000 jobs in replacing the Blatnick Bridge, don't come crawling over here when you voted against it and tell us you had something to do with it. You had nothing. Go get Jen elected and so many others. Thank you. Look, every time this happens, when Gwen Walz speaks, people always say, well, why isn't she running? So she's got lots of things that are happening. I did notice this when she was practicing her speech. She said, my husband, Tim. I thought it said your wonderful husband, Tim. She's an English teacher. Words matter. That's it. And she also mentioned, three of my sister-in-laws are here today, too, with me. Are you seeing a pattern here? Two incredible senators who happen to be women. Jen Schultz is going to make a wonderful member of Congress. Gwen Walz, please straight. Here's my life hack for all of you. All the guys out there, whatever, here's my life hack. Surround yourself with smart women and listen to them, and you'll do just fine. That includes my fellow cat owner, Taylor Swift, too. It's really great to have all of these women help us beat the smallest man in the world. Each and every one of you, look, it is true. There's anywhere else you could be. You've got busy lives. You've got things going on. These days are precious. This is a Saturday in northern Wisconsin. It's nice outside. These are rare and you're precious. But it speaks volumes about you. The Vice President often says this, and I don't think for a minute as you gathered with your neighbors. I look out here, I see old friends, new friends. Same thing probably with you. But it's something really special as free people to gather in a space with our community to self-determine how we want our country to be. You chose. Chose to be here, and the incredible people on the Wisconsin Coordinated Campaign, all the local folks who do this, you did that. You came here for this moment because of what Kamala Harris always says, a beautiful, simple reason. You love this country, so thank you. we get to make a choice. And like 61 million other people in most of the rest of the world, we got to see Tuesday night. That's a pretty simple choice. It should be. There was one person on that stage that has the poise, the dignity, the foresight, and the compassion to be President of the United States, and that's Kamala Harris. She commanded that room. She's tough, she's tested, she's ready, and I can tell you, I am so incredibly proud of her, but I tell people this. Someone came up to me and said, Dave, the Vice President did an incredible job. I'm so surprised. Why were you surprised? You need to ask yourself why you were surprised. Prosecutor, county attorney, Attorney General of California, prosecuting transnational gangs and other criminals, United States Senator and Vice President of the United States. Self-evaluation of why you're surprised. There might be a couple of reasons we'll clear that. None of it had to do with competency and getting ready to lead. And it started, she had the upper hand in that thing, no pun intended, from the handshake. You saw it in there. You can't bring yourself to look at the Vice President of the United States. You can't bring yourself to shake hands in the middle. This is how we do things in this country. The democracy matters. And when you lose, you do the exact opposite of what he did. You shake the hand of the person who beat you and you help them become successful. I say that because in 52 days, he's going to have to do exactly that. Maybe unlike the other side, I talked to Vice President Harris. You know, we like are communicating. But we didn't talk about this. I got asked right after the debate, do you think you should do another one? I said, well, I haven't talked to her, but if my advice is, yes, every day we should do another one. Because what you saw is what we all knew. Donald Trump is exactly what we knew him to be. We knew exactly what his true colors were on full display. His true colors were on full display. Not his makeup, but his character. And I said this, you saw that caricature of an old man shaking his hand at clouds and telling kids to get off his yard. That's what he did. Obsessed with the past, and this is what's unforgivable. Rooting against the American people. Rooting against us. Everywhere he goes, terrible city, terrible place, terrible state. All these things. I wouldn't go. Always, as the governor of Pennsylvania says, and plug your children's ears on this, this is the governor of Pennsylvania, everywhere he goes, he's shit-talking America. Everywhere he goes. Because he doesn't believe in us. He had the simplest opportunity the other night to answer a couple simple questions. First one being, he refused to say he wanted the free and brave people of the democracy of Ukraine to win the war. And here's what I'm going to say to Wisconsin. Thank you for the deep dignity that I know exists here. Yesterday, I was in Wausau with a group of folks down there. And it's nice. It's your state. Go there. Visit it. No, we're there. And I got a chance to meet a couple of people. Anastasia and Anton and their young son. They were forced to flee Ukraine during the war, and they were taken in by the people of Wisconsin. And you know what the first thing they did was? They started a small business, a bakery that's creating jobs and growing the economy right there in Wausau. And when I told them that Vice President Harris had no problem answering that, and I have no problem answering that, and people who love this democracy and understand we stand with our friends, it's a very simple question. Ukraine must win that war and push the aggressor back. We also had another easy one. He refused to answer if he would veto a national abortion ban. wouldn't answer it. Well, you know why. You know why. All of a sudden now he says he's all for the support or whatever. Here's the deal. He doesn't trust women, and they sure the hell don't trust him. Never imagined in 2024 we're here, but it's a privilege because all of you are here to fight this fight. This is the most fundamental thing since the founding of this country, for all the blood that's been shed over the years to protect the democracy. One of the most fundamental things, and as I said, it is a disqualifier on his part. He refused to say he lost a fair and square election. Refused to say it. Don't allow us to become the frog in the slowly boiling water, to pretend like that's any way normal or okay. Say it every single day. He lost the election, he's trying to lie about it, and he will do so again. But he says all of you are just AI, so he's not too worried about it. Your votes won't be AI, I guarantee you that. All the misinformation, all the inability to stand on the core values that makes America the great country it is, he also had nothing to say what he would do to make your lives better. Nothing. Healthcare plan. Remember, came down this golden escalator 9 years ago. Got asked about Obamacare. I'll rip it out. I'll have a better plan on day one. It was 9 years ago. What we saw Tuesday night is, look, he apparently has been doing something. He has the concepts of a plan. And as I said this, if I got that excuse from one of my students, I would have laughed them out of the room. No, try better. Try better. Look, for him, it's a soundbite. It's nothing. For you, it's the pre-existing condition you had in your insurance company wouldn't pay the bill, means now you can go get treated. You can take your children in. You can't be discriminated. We can get checkups on time and prevent illnesses down the road. The ACA has provided millions of people a healthier, better, freer life for them and their children. For him, it's a talking point. Let's just be honest. He doesn't know what's in the ACA. He's never read it. He never looked at it. He doesn't know. Not once could he ever worry that he would have to pay a medical bill. They're out of touch with who we are. Kamala Harris, who grew up in that middle-class family, around a kitchen table you have to decide how you're going to pay the bills with her single mom, she understands that. Donald Trump has no plan for you. His plan is for what's good for Donald Trump. Period. Look, this is important. This is important, and you all know it. Because, look, we all deal with it. Friends, neighbors, family. Oh, I like Donald Trump. You know, I don't really like how he swears and gets convicted of felonies and found liable for assaulting women. I don't really like that. Good, I'm glad you don't like that. But then they always go, I like his proposals. Which one? Taking your health care? Forcing women to bleed out in parking lots because they can't get health care? Tax cuts for billionaires? And I say this, if you're a billionaire and that's all you care about, he may be your guy. But if you're a working class person, a middle class person, a community member, I can't find much there. And the thing is, you don't have to look very far. He's not giving you much detail, except it's really great. They made it easy for us. They printed 900 plus pages in Project 2025. Are you watching this? They're all mad as hell at the guys who wrote this now because they got out there. This was the thing, you said the quiet stuff out loud before we got elected. Yes, they did. No one wants that agenda. No one who's not a billionaire wants that agenda. No one wants government in your bedrooms and your exam rooms. No one wants to make drugs more expensive. No one wants to avoid dealing with climate change or making prices more affordable for folks in the middle that we're trying to do. They have no idea about any of those things. So look, these guys on the other side, you know what they stand for. Here's what I'm most proud of. I'm proud with our side of things. While Donald Trump spent his time whining, crying, grievance-filled. Oh, they did me wrong, they did me wrong. It's difficult to be born with millions of dollars. It's difficult to not pay your bills. It's difficult to have the Supreme Court say you can do whatever the hell you want with no consequence. Apparently that's difficult for him. Kamala Harris spent no time doing that. She talked about you, and she talked about the future. I don't know if my English teacher wife would enjoy that I'm going there. Another pun. She prosecuted the case really well on Tuesday. But you know what you also saw? You saw this, and you're here, and I see it looking out at each one of you. This is hard, important work. This is difficult work. This will shape generations to come. But hard work can be good work, and hard work can be joyful work. And that's what she did. She brought joy back to the idea of politics, an idea that it can be better than just politics. In her entire professional career, she's had one client: the people. The people. And she says this in her entire career: prosecutor, attorney general, senator, vice president. She never asked Democrat or Republican. She asked, are you okay? And what can we do to make things better? So look, we were in Pennsylvania on this bus tour. This was really great. We're old school. We're getting on these buses and we're going into red areas and we're talking to anybody who's out there. Because look, let's just be honest, and she knows this better than anybody. We were looking out at a crowd of supporters. There was a whole bunch of our supporters with signs just like you, and we're all excited, and really great t-shirts, by the way, up front here. And then on the other side of the street were folks who weren't our supporters. It's easy to tell. They're all in the same hat. I was saying a group of independent thinkers on one side of the street, over there, ready to go. But she turned to me, and it was just Gwen and I and Doug and Kamala Harris. And she turned around to me and she said, Tim, never forget, we fight just as hard for folks on this side of the street as folks on this side of the street. This is why talking to your neighbors, as Gwen said, this is why the work of the next 52 days. People are undecided. Look, I think it's pretty obvious. Most people don't like him. It's not, if this were about having the best ideas or the best candidates, I think we would win most of the elections, because that's the way it usually works out. But that's not what happens. This is about hard work. It's about going out and talking to people. It's about telling them what it matters. And the things we're talking about in this room will help folks who are buying those flags, wearing that red hat, and believing that Donald Trump's with them. What you know is health care for their family, good public schools, infrastructure investments, the right to control your own body. All of those things, if you ask them and talk to them as neighbors, they're going to say, yeah, I'm for that. Then you need to remind them, he's against all of that. He's against all of that. So look, as that prosecutor, she had to take on predators, fraudsters, people trying to cheat you, career criminals, big corporate interests who think they're above the law. Now, it was easier the other night because all of those things were wrapped into one person. So you can take it on. But the fight was there. The idea that we lay out a plan, an opportunity, autonomy plan, one that knows, because she grew up in the middle class, she knows that it's not enough to get by. We've all been there. It's not enough to get by. People want to get ahead and thrive. And in this country, the richest country in the world, there is no reason that the gap between the CEOs and the folks who are doing the work, the labor that's doing the work, the most basic democracy is the ability to collectively bargain to get something. Look, they're doing just fine. But you don't need $400 million when people are just trying to get by. We finally started to see, because of the work of Kamala Harris and our labor friends, brothers and sisters, we're seeing wages finally start to keep pace, starting to go up. So I said this. She wants to make homes more affordable. Because you know why? She watched her mom scrimp and save for years to buy that house. I watched my mom worry after my dad died and the medical bills there, will I be able to keep my house? For those guys, a Wall Street guy, a 6-time bankruptcy guy, a venture capitalist guy, those are just commodities to move around and sell and trade. If it means foreclosing on somebody, do that. If it makes you money, who cares? But those are our neighbors. Kamala Harris understands that home is the foundation to families and community. That's why she wants to make it easier through down payments, helping builders create 3 million more new homes, and working with local folks to make it easier to get those homes built and permitted. Now, when she talked about prices and price gouging, it was fascinating to me to watch how fast Donald Trump and his running mate jumped on to defend price gougers. Look, 37 states already have laws against that. But the thing that really gets me is we're trying and figuring out how to keep prices lower. Our farmers are working dawn till dusk, and they're getting $3.90 a bushel for corn and $10 for soybeans. They're not getting rich. They didn't grow the food. They didn't process it at the factory where labor did that. Somebody's pulling off a chunk of money out there that has nothing to do with getting that to you. That's what she's talking about. If you're jacking up the price illegally, you should stop that. And one of the American dreams is to choose your path. And none of those paths should be closed out. The idea, if you've got an idea for a small business, it should be easier to start that small business. That's why she proposed increasing the tax credit so you can get up and off the ground. Making sure then that you've got health care so that that doesn't drive you out of a small business. And then making sure your neighbors are being paid enough that they can actually spend money at your small business and everybody thrives. Got it here. This is the part, this ability to be able to collectively bargain and organize. Let's not forget our history, America. The labor movement starts in Wisconsin. It's Wisconsin. So, the idea of investing back to the middle class, the idea of growing from the inside out, the idea that everybody can have a place in this. We have a Minnesota saying from one of our senators who we lost way too soon, who says we all do better when we all do better. It's not that complicated. It's not that complicated. But these guys figure out a way, we want more and more and more and more. More taxes. I will say this about Donald Trump. He was very clear on one thing and he followed through with this. He told the billionaires he was going to give them a tax cut, and he did it. Project 2025 promises you again. He will do it again and bigger. So let's be very clear. When he does that, it cuts out opportunities for all the rest of us. When they do that, it undermines our ability to do the things we know need to be done. So just to be clear, it's something you know about right here in Superior and Duluth, that Donald Trump talked a tough game about infrastructure. Kamala Harris got it done. That's the guy who's trying to figure out how to not pay his damn taxes so that he doesn't have to fix it. All of us understand that that bridge creates economic opportunity, connecting us together both physically and as a people. It makes good sense. And I'll tell you, you saw this idea about freedom, and you've seen it's really great. It's not just a song that the Vice President comes out to, although that's really cool when she does that. But you saw it in Chicago, you hear us talking about this idea of freedom. The idea of what it means. Freedom to live your life the way you choose to live your life. Some of us are old enough to remember Republicans used to talk like that too. They used to talk about freedom. They would have never turned their back on an ally. They would have never decided that they needed to be in your business. But we know now, they want the freedom to be in your doctor's office. By the way, Project 2025, some of you want to know in there, they've got a national pregnancy coordinator that tracks all pregnancies. George Orwell to put in his book, but they did it. They did it. Look, they want to be in your school library. I don't know about you, but you heard Isabella talk about it. In Minnesota, while those guys are figuring out how to ban books, we're banishing hunger from our schools. I want to go back to those old school Republicans, the folks that need to come over and realize this is the agenda for them. One of the things they used to always talk about is personal freedoms, personal responsibilities. Well, the responsibility part is out because Donald Trump has never taken responsibility for a single thing. But the personal choices and the personal freedoms, we respect it. We respect it. We may not agree with it. We may not agree with that. Look, I get it. There's some of you choose the Packers over the Vikings. That's your choice. Your choice. Oh, give it to me. Give me my moment. Give me my moment. We don't have any Super Bowl rings. Just give me the moment. Well, look, we may not agree and we may differ, but you've heard me say it, and I know it's a Wisconsin rule. I claimed it for Minnesota, but I know you got it here too. The golden rule that makes everything work better is mind your own damn business. Think about it. How is that not appealing to Republicans? How is that not an appealing thing? They want to be and make every damn decision. Think about what they're saying in Project 2025. You're going to have to register with a new federal agency when you get pregnant. This is personal. It doesn't get much personal. For Gwen and I, you've heard our story, and we've heard other people have to tell their story. Look, nobody wants to have to tell their personal stories about their families unless they're asked about it and it's in private conversation. We have to tell these stories because these guys weirdly are obsessed with our bedrooms all the time. All the time. And for us, it was a struggle, a years-long struggle with infertility. And we were blessed that we had access to those treatments. And you better bet, if you haven't had it happen to you, you know somebody who's had gone through it. It's hell. You're waiting for the call. You get the call. It doesn't work. You're back at it. And then there's the two of you wondering how. All you want to do is have that child. So you better bet in our family, when we finally had that little girl born, we named her Hope for a very particular reason. Are Gwen and I's whole world, just like your children are, just like how you choose to live your family. And we're talking about it because these guys are trying to make it more difficult to do that, or if not, impossible. Because it's very clear, they're not stopping national abortion ban. They're not stopping with getting rid of fertility clinics. They're talking about getting rid of contraception or any type of help any of us need. These are personal health care decisions. These are personal health care decisions. So think about it. This is pretty simple, and Kamala Harris makes it pretty clear. I would go out to all of your neighbors and make the case on this. Do you want J.D. Vance deciding about your wife and daughter's health? Or would you rather just leave it to them and their doctor? That's what freedom is. Make the decisions, not politicians, about your personal health care. It's as simple as that. So look, education for all of you. We're setting in a school here, a great school, Wisconsin and Minnesota. We're known for our schools. We're known for our education. We know that that's a ticket to the middle class, shouldn't be a ticket to debt. So be very clear about it. Investing in education, investing in our teachers, investing in the future is another one of those. When we all do better, we all do better. It's that simple. On this 52 days, and it's a binary choice. I know, it boggles my mind too that there are two people who are going to be president. One of them is going to be president, the other is not. There are two people. One of them is going to be vice president, one of them is not. That Project 2025 and the questions and the discussion we're having here today is where that difference lies. Because that program, and I say this for my mother, who survived after my dad died on Social Security survivor benefits and who counts on that check right now, Kamala Harris has pledged, and we will pledge, to protect Social Security and Medicare with everything. This one is the difference. People see the world from where they stand. If you stand in a middle-class living room, if you stand in a union factory job, if you stand in scrubs as a nurse helping, that's a way to see the world. That's a way to see the world. If you stand, or more likely sit, in Mar-a-Lago, or in a venture capitalist high-rise on Wall Street, why would you care if the Social Security check shows up? You don't care about it because you don't need it. So you're looking for the tax cut. Well, I'll tell you who does need it. My mom. She pays for her heat. She pays for food with her Social Security check, and it is the best anti-poverty program ever devised in this country. So here's the deal. I say this. I know very clearly, you may not have thought so, but I know it. I am preaching to the choir. You came, stood in line, came with your neighbors, ready to do something about it. As we started out with, because you love your country, because you know the choice is so stark, and you know the impact we can make. You came to do it with joy, and you want to get it done. But here's the deal. Kamala Harris did her job Tuesday night. We need to do our job for the next 50 days. I'll go to my grave not understanding why, but I know it's a fact. This is going to be a margin of error race, and it's going to be won in a handful of states. One of them is the state of Wisconsin. So let me, as these guys help me with, put on that coach whistle and get that hat back on. This thing's going to be a battle for the next 52 days. It's going to be in rooms, one in rooms, just like this. It's going to be one door-to-door, call-to-call, $5 donation, trying to have that hard conversation in the produce aisle with the person you saw there at the grocery store and ask, have you voted yet? And are you concerned about Social Security? Are you concerned about climate change? Are you concerned about our democracy? Are you concerned about middle class? Are you concerned about those things? Because if you are, ask that person to sign up. Ask them to get the vote. Look, this is on. Wisconsin starts next week in voting. Next week. So for all of you, I know it's hard work. I know that, as I said, it's hard to understand that it shouldn't be broader, but that's our country's here. These guys have spent the last decade telling us our system is broken. They've spent the last decade figuring out how to make it harder for people to vote. They spent the last decade trying to make people pessimistic to believe it doesn't matter if you come to rallies like this, or if you vote, or if you call your neighbor. That's what they've done. You know why? Because they can't win when more people vote. Because the people understand. So that choice of voter suppression versus voter engagement, we choose the joyful path. We choose to take our chances with explaining what we stand for, standing on our record, letting everybody vote, counting every vote fairly, and then accepting the results of that. That's what we need. So here we go, folks. Every vote's going to matter. Every precinct. One more vote in each precinct can make the difference in what happens for the next generation in this country. The difference between keeping that guy as far away from the White House as possible and putting in a president who understands and cares about you. That's what we need. So, I, for one, am honored to be on this ticket. I'm honored to stand with you in this fight. I'm honored to know, and I keep saying this, we have some philosophies in the middle. My God, we're tough people. Some people, when we started settling, people started going across the country. Some of them kept on going until they ended up a place where it's really warm and they have palm trees. Not our people. Not our people. We stopped here. We stopped here. strong, we care, we're resilient, and we understand that when you stick together, we can get this done. So for all of you here, all gas, no break, 52 days to get to work, got to sleep with your dad.